A major Canadian bread company is being hit with a record fine for rigging prices over a period of years.
Let's turn now to some breaking news from the grocery aisles and the Ontario Superior Court. Baked goods giant Canada Bread has agreed to pay a fine of $50 million to settle the probe into its role in the infamous bread price-fixing scandal.
Now, when you hear the words bread price-fixing scandal, I'm guessing you'll have one of two reactions. Either you will viscerally feel the injustice, that bitter reminder of everything that's wrong about giving too few companies too much control.
Unbelievable.
What's your reaction?
Doesn't surprise me.
How does that make you feel as a shopper?
That feel me very bad because they're taking advantage, of the poor people.
Or you're like, what was that again? Because it did happen years ago, starting all the way back in 2001. And it's only in 2023, all these years later, we are finally seeing a resolution to the story. But here's the kicker. This story is just getting started. And today, we're going to explain why. So let's start with the Canada Bread Company. That's actually what it's called. Who are they, and why do they have to pay $50 million? Now, Canada Bread Company owns a whole bunch of bread brands that you're probably familiar with. Dempster's is a big one, but there's also Villaggio, Palm, Ben's, Bon Matin, McGavin's. And the accusation is this, that on two specific occasions, once in 2007 and again in 2011, it conspired with a competitor, Weston Foods, which owns Wonder Bread, D'Italiano, Country Harvest, and a few others. So, we're talking basically all of the big bread brands here. That these two mega bread companies conspired to artificially inflate prices, costing Canadians between 14 and 16 extra cents per item for each increase. And, that includes sandwich bread, yes, but also hot dog buns, English muffins, tortillas, so, all that kind of stuff, bagged bread. Canada Bread Company pleaded guilty to price fixing. Now, maybe at this point you're wondering, doesn't it take two to tango, right? What about Weston Foods, the company owned by the Weston family, which owns Loblaw Companies and its grocery stores? Well, yes, they were involved, but they're immune from prosecution.
Loblaw and Weston Bakeries admitted to the Competition Bureau that they were involved in the alleged price-fixing scheme.
So here's the thing about price fixing. It can often be pretty hard to prove. In Canada, it's really incumbent on guilty parties to come forward, which sounds kind of crazy, right? Because, why would a bad actor confess unless they had something to gain? But that's what happened. Loblaw ultimately came forward and cooperated with the Competition Bureau.
But by fessing up, it's gained immunity. It won't be penalized for fixing the price of bread.
That's the system. Encourage any one bad actor to spill the beans, rat out the others. They get off, and then there's a sliding scale of penalty reduction for everyone who confesses thereafter.
If any of the companies are charged and found guilty, they could face major fines and even jail time.
Now, that's not to say Loblaw didn't suffer for its role. The hit to consumer confidence was big.
But the overall snowball effect is, I'm a consumer and I'm not being taken care of.
And of course, trust isn't an easy thing to rebuild. Loblaw offered customers $25 gift cards, but experts say that's a pretty token gesture compared to how much everybody involved would have made.
Stacy and Tammy, are you ready?
Yes! It just seems that $25 isn't a lot to sort of feel.
Great! Here are your $25 gift cards.
According to court documents unsealed in 2018, the Competition Bureau says this price-fixing scheme actually went on for almost 15 years, from 2001 to 2015. And the allegation was that retailers were in on it. They'd call it the 7-10 convention. So for each price increase, retailers would pay 7 cents more for bread wholesale, and customers, so people like you and me, would pay 10 cents more. So if you think about it, that's 7 cents bread maker profit, 3 cents grocery profit. And look at the price of bread over that period of time. Clearly out of step with food inflation. The price of a loaf of bread almost doubling. And bread would have been an easy product to collude on. As we said earlier, two companies, Canada Bread Company and Weston Foods, control the vast majority of the bagged bread market.
How can it be that two rivals, you would think, competitors, would be working together instead of fighting for our business to keep our consumer prices as low as possible?
But here's the thing. I said at the start, this story is only just beginning because the investigation is ongoing. And those retailers that I mentioned, which the Competition Bureau alleges were part of the scheme, so, businesses like Metro, Sobeys, Walmart, Giant Tiger, they say they've done nothing wrong. All right, Sophia Harris, you are with the business unit. You've been covering this story for years. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So we're going to talk about the ongoing investigation in just a moment, but I do want to ask you about why, with this fine, we're only seeing it in relation to two very specific instances of price fixing, given the Competition Bureau alleges this went on for a decade and a half.
Yeah. Well, price fixing conspiracies are very difficult to prove. You need hard evidence. Preferably, you need people coming forward. And the reason we have a break in this case now is not only did the Competition Bureau uncover evidence of two cases of price fixing, but also Canada Bread confessed. So, slam dunk, case closed. And there may be other incidents where Canada Bread fixed the price of bread, but the Competition Bureau uncovered these two cases, has evidence, and really that's what it has to go on for this case.
And can I ask you about the fine itself? Like $50 million.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of money, especially when you weigh it against the idea that this is the largest fine Canada has ever seen, right? For price fixing.
Yeah.
Except then I think about how much money these companies make, even just in bread sales, and compare it to the amount of money they may have made because of price fixing. And I'm wondering, how should I weigh $50 million?
Well, to put it in perspective, Canada Bread's current owner, Grupo Bimbo, is a Mexican multinational company, and it's a multi-billion-dollar company. So $50 million for Grupo Bimbo is a drop in the bucket. It's basically nothing. However, the company is not happy about having to pay this fine because it wasn't the owner of Canada Bread during the time of the price-fixing conspiracy.
Right, those Maple Leaf
Foods.
Yeah.
So even though it's only $50 million, a lot for us, but, probably not for Grupo Bimbo, it is considering seeking legal action against those responsible, not saying who they think those people are, but I'm presuming it's Maple Leaf Foods.
Sure, because when they acquired the Canada Bread Company, they say they didn't know anything about
Correct. Grupo Bimbo says we were in the dark, and one theory about why they came forward is because they can say, look, this bad thing happened, but it wasn't on our watch. So, we're not culpable.
What about the other retailers that we've been talking about? So other grocery stores that may have been involved. If they were guilty of price fixing, there would have been some kind of incentive for them to confess, to come forward for a more lenient sort of penalty.
Yeah.
But they all say, no, we didn't do anything wrong. We didn't break any laws.
Oh, well, just because a company doesn't come forward, doesn't mean they're innocent. It could mean that they got together and said, look, I don't think the Competition Bureau has the evidence to lay charges against us, so let's just not say anything. Or, they could all be innocent. We just don't know.
That investigation is on.
That investigation is ongoing, and you know what? It could take years. Maybe we'll see more charges. Maybe companies will come forward and confess, but if they don't, this could go on for years and years.
And I think it's worth underlining a point that I made earlier, but let's just be clear here. When it comes to the other party involved here, so not Canada Bread, but we're talking about Weston Foods, Weston Bakeries, everything that Galen Weston Food, the whole family, everything they touch, they're immune. Yep,
total immunity. Yep.
That's just the way the system works.
They were the first to come forward, and I have to say that if they hadn't come forward, the Competition Bureau may not have had enough evidence to launch this investigation. So essentially, they were the whistleblowers. And because they came forward first, they get blanket immunity. Yeah, except they did give out those $25 gift cards to try to make amends.
Yes, there are the $25
but
gift
yeah,
cards.
not the same thing as a charge in a court case. Yeah.
So the next step for you then, Sophia, as someone who has tracked this case for years, I assume you're crossing your fingers it won't be years until we see some other development.
I hope not. But all eyes now are on the other retailers involved. If any of them decide to come forward, or if the Competition Bureau lays charges and then they have to go to court and defend themselves, or we could see nothing happen if the Competition Bureau just doesn't find the evidence needed and the evidence required to maybe force them to come forward. If they have something damning, maybe we will see other grocers come forward.
Sophia Harris, thank you very much.
Thank you.